everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Lisa from Potsiefighter, and I am so glad you joined me today for another card video. For this card, I decided to use the Rules of Love stamp set from Sweet Stamp Shop, and it is just so adorable. And I am using my Memento tuxedo black ink in my We Are Memory Keepers Precision stamp tool, and I'm just stamping it twice to make sure everything is stamped correctly. And I just used some white cardstock. Sorry if you could hear the motorcycle in the back. I mentioned this in probably every video, but they are so loud and there are so many where I live. Sorry about that. So I'm trimming it down just very roughly. And I wanted to sorry, my paper trimmer was ripping the paper, so I had to remove the little things because that's very textured paper and kind of the texture of watercolor paper. And here was where I decided to use or to heat set it. So just always use that piece of paper because I don't have those great those coffee filters that you guys in the US have if you are from the US or from Canada or something like that. So I'm using 3 centimeters of the stamp set, and it says word to the wise, and I forgot the other 2. I'm sorry. Just have to wait a second. Where is it? Oh God, I forgot. What's it say? Oh yeah, when she has a brighter tear, nod your head. And then I was also putting on there better yet. And then I did continued with it on the inside of the card, so you will see that later. And I used Ranger Clear embossing powder for that. Just heat setting it with my heat tool. And then I am trimming off the excess or trimming down the paper. And so I just had that strip with sentiment on it. And I'm using a craft cardstock, and those are watercolor brush pens, and I think I used those for the first time. And I'm just using a water brush and clean water, and the ink was still wet, so it kind of smudged. And I had to stamp that again, but second time or third time's the charm. That's what I want to say. I'm sorry. So I'm using my score tool to score the envelope properly. And on the back, I am using the Technique Tuesday Made with Love stamp set, as I use on every card. And I like it. And on the inside of my card, I continued kind of with the sentiment. And I said go with it. I just thought I was cute because it was for my friend's husband, and I thought I was cute. And so I trimmed down that piece of paper as well, and I adhered that on the inside of my card. And there we go. Just adhered that down, trimming off the excess with my cute little scissors. Just went back in in the corners, so everything is adhered properly. And I did not know what I wanted to use as a background, but in the meantime I was trying if the paper was or the ink was dry, and it kind of was. And so I used those watercolor brush pens for the first time, and I was not too happy about them. Either I didn't use them properly. That like misstamped one really irritated me, so I had to trim it out. And so I then tried my watercolor on my water brush, but it didn't work. Like the colors, it wasn't moving. It was like, I don't know, I didn't like it. It was, yeah, you can see that it just didn't move at all. So I was not happy with it, like, at all. So I did try some other markers to see if the colors moved better. So I trimmed that off again because it was irritating me. So I used my Hero watercolor brushes, or watercolor brush pens, and those moved very, very nicely. I don't know where they're from, either like from Japan, I don't know, I'm not sure. So I did color those in, and it's always like two pictures that coordinate with each other. So there's like a jelly jar, or like a jar, and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Well, that's what I see when I saw that. And then there's a crayon, and like a pack of crayons, and a pineapple, and a coconut drink. And so I colored in my little like my little jar here, and I don't know, it was, at some point I was very frustrated with how everything did not move in that case. So I was like so just kind of colored everything, and then that's what I kind of did. So I just colored it in, and then picked up the color with my paper towel, so it kind of gets a distressed-ish look, kind of. And just picked it up with my paper towel, and I like how that looked. So it was kind of experimenting at that point. Just first I was putting down some water, and then my little color, and yeah, I still like the brush pens, like those Hero ones, but I used the wrong paper. So this is just, I think, I don't even remember. I don't think it was like watercolor paper. I think it was like very textured cardstock. But I still like how it turns out, and that's the main part. So yeah, and it's just very, since the pictures are very tiny, you can't really do like a whole lot of like shading or anything. So yeah, and I did blend the colors a bit, and then that's what I did. I just put over my paper towel, like over the picture, and then I just pressed on my water brush, so it like water would like squirt out, and then the paper towel picks up some of the color, and I really like how that looked. So yeah, and, just doing some like random colors and trying to mix it up a bit. But again, since it was very tiny, you couldn't really do a whole lot. And here you can see it better actually on that little image. So that was those, and I still have to do the sandwich again, because again I failed one more time. and it didn't stamp properly, so I just turned it around and use the other side, because you can't see it anyway if I adhere it. And I think I set that aside to let it dry, or did I use it immediately? No. So I pulled out the coordinating dies, and I think I mentioned that in a previous video. I do not like Sweet Stamp Shop dies. I do not, because I just can't see where like the things are, like, or how I need to position them. And I had to do, I think, the Crayola box, I think 3 times, because, and the third time, or was it the second time? I think the third time I just left it like as is, and it still wasn't perfectly cut, but I just couldn't do it another time because I was very, very frustrated. So I did color that peanut butter thing, sandwich. And so yeah, I tried like positioning it with my tape, and actually got out my painter's tape, and sorry for my head, I think you can see that a few times now, because I really had a hard time. It is so hard, for me at least. I mean, they cut like butter, they're perfectly good dies, but I just, especially with those tiny images, I just had the hardest time die cutting them. And I'm not cutting the sandwich yet, because the paper was still wet, so I didn't want to rip the paper. And there I could already see that I miscut it, and yeah, I was already frustrated. And I'm using my leather tool, and there you can see that I did not cut it properly, but again I couldn't see it. The other ones turned out okay. They're not perfect, but they turned out okay. But I definitely knew that I had to do that one again. So I got out another piece of paper and stamped it again with the Memento Tuxedo black ink. And oh yeah, while I was at it, I was stamping word to the Y's on the flap of my envelope. And I used this paper pad because I knew that I wanted to use that paper, just because it fits so so perfectly to the person that is receiving the card. And I cut it the wrong, I did cut it the wrong measurement, but the wrong way, so yeah, had to do it again. But that's okay. So I'm adhering that and at the, or on the front of my card as my card base, kind of. Almost adhered it the wrong way, or the wrong, yeah, the wrong way actually. So I did adhere oh yeah, now I remember. I thought I would adhere it first, but no. I did trim down I think it's 2-inch. No, I didn't measure it. I just decided to get out those watercolor brush pens again, because no, I didn't. I thought about it, I didn't. And I just used my watercolor palette to kind of pick up the colors that were in the pictures, like in the coordinating pictures. And as you can see, it's just normal paper. It's not even cardstock, it's just very thin paper, so it does warp while I'm painting on it. So I'm kind of doing like an ombre kind of watercolor background thing. It's just very simple, very very simple background pieces, and I just set those aside to let them dry. Got out all of my hero pens again that I would need for that little cutie. So I painted him again. I think I did it a bit different, like different hair color, and I mixed up I changed up the the box, the front of the box again, and I used a ton of water on that one to pick up a lot of color, and that was almost dry, so I just looked at it, and now I'm hearing my sentiment strip. I really like the sentiment kind of. So that's how I wanted those to go. Like, I did put on my acrylic blocks just so they can dry flatter. And I just put on my cute little pineapple and coconut on there so those could dry. And I had to wait a bit before I could cut the images because it was still wet and I would have ripped the paper. And using my painter's tape again to adhere everything and make sure it stays in place. But the sandwich turned out okay, but not the Crayola box. Again, I mean, it's not as bad, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it like that, but probably should have done it again. So I am using the like brown, orange, and purple background for those two, and the green, orange, and yellow background for the Crayola box and the Crayola itself. And I put those together very very close together, just trimmed off the excess of the watercolor, and now I just adhered those on with some foam adhesive, and I think it's very cute, like how they look. It's just so adorable. And I had to use some tiny ones, and I just think those are so cute. And I really like the ombre background colors that I did. I really think that adds a little bit of interest. And yeah, so I did off camera add some baker's twine. You can see that in the still shots at the end or on my blog post. And I did decide to add some Spectrum Noir glitter pen. This is the clear glitter brush pen, and I was trying to show it, but it's hard to see on camera. So there you can see the card as is, and in the still shots now you can see the pictures with the baker's twine. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!